Welcome back to another episode of Catching Up with Coach. Big news today from The Athletic that the Raptors are one of the favorites to land Anthony Davis in Toronto. And the report has come out that he would be open to coming to Toronto as well. And Atlanta is the other team that's starting to heat up. Truthfully, I think Atlanta probably has better contracts to offer right now and maybe more controllable young players to offer, a la Zachary Risachet, Dyson Daniels. They got picks as well. They probably some better picks than we have. I think Atlanta would be more able to make a deal, but the problem is they want to get off Trae Young, and Dallas doesn't want Trae Young. They don't want to put Trae Young and Kyrie in the backcourt, and I wouldn't either. They'd give up 160 points a game with those two. So with Toronto, however, we are now, as of last game or as of today, a top 3 team in defensive rating. Top 3. From a Darko-led squad, top 3. It's kind of mind-boggling to think about from last year and from the year before. Like, we had guys on this team 2 years ago who looked like they didn't know how to defend, like OG and Siakam. But we've turned this team around defensively. It's been one of the big calling cards for the team this season is their defense. You can't ignore it. Even myself, and I'm not a huge fan of this coaching staff, but I got to give them credit. They have focused on defense as the message since the summer, and it's paying off for them. You're basically a top 3 defense without a rim protecting center, which is pretty darn impressive. And even if Pirtle was healthy, he's not Gobert. He's not Miles Turner. He's not Wemby. He's an average center in the league. He's an average center who can't shoot outside of 10 feet. 5 feet, maybe more so. But Anthony Davis would definitely change the trajectory of this team. The East is up for grabs, in my opinion. Detroit they're really good. We know the Knicks are good. I would say the Knicks might be the favorites right now, especially when they're healthy. They got size, they got superstars, they got shooting, they got perimeter defense, they got guys who can rebound. They could probably still make another move before the deadline to get better. Then you got Boston that has Tatum coming back soon. But Toronto's right there. We're hanging around that 4th seed. We're like a game and a half back of Boston for 3rd seed. And I think the question is, does the front office want to stay where they're at, trust what they have, trust when Pirtle comes back that you're going to be fine, or do you want to upgrade? Do you want to make a major move? Because I can tell you a major move would signal this is Bobby's team now. This is Bobby's world for all you people who grew up in the 90s viewing the cartoon. Because right now this is Masai's team outside of Mamu and CMB. It's Masai's team. But Bobby probably wants to try to make a big move for the big executives and Keith Pelly, Ed Rogers, to say, yeah, look what I can do. Adding in Anthony Davis would be quite something to this team. We've already had an upgrade in individual talent from getting Brandon Ingram last year. Adding Anthony Davis definitely increases your talent level. But everyone knows the guy is hurt every single year. But there's been a change, I feel, with Rich Paul. Rich Paul's key in all of this. Brandon Ingram's agent, Rich Paul, Clutch Sports. He's a Clutch client. The Raptors gave him money, and Rich Paul said this, that no other team would give him because of his injury history, not because of his talent. Teams got scared. This year, so far, knock on wood, Brandon Ingram has played in every single game this season. He's been healthy. He's been very good, especially lately. I think he's averaging like 26, 27 a game this last 4 or 5 games for Toronto. He's been playing really well. It's what you brought him in for, as Jack Armstrong says. Rich Paul might be seeing this and saying, where can my client get an extension from a team? And that team could be Toronto. Their medical staff with Alec McKechnie, we know the famous work he did with Kawhi Leonard. We see what's probably going on right now with Brandon Ingram. And they're probably looking at to say, well, can he do this work with Anthony Davis? Can he have here the biggest question of all? Can you have Anthony Davis healthy? And that is a huge question. He's still putting up some decent numbers in Dallas right now, despite all the dysfunction. Especially lately, he says some like 35 and 17 games, like 35 points, 17 rebounds. I have told Beyond and Hopeful, I think Anthony Davis is a top 5 talent in the league when he's healthy. Two-way guys win you championships, and it's proven because he's won one with LeBron James. You saw him how he defended Jokic. Mind you, that was 4 or 5 years ago now. I get that. He's also much older. He's like 32 now. So Anthony Davis in Toronto. What's interesting is the guy probably doesn't want to play center. He's always been made clear about that. He'd have to play center here because you'd have a front court of AD, Scotty, Ingram. Now, on paper, it's a ton of talent. Tons of talent. You got multiple two-way talents. And Brandon Ingram this year's probably playing some of the best defense he's ever played. So you have a front court that would be dynamic. You probably would have the best front court in the Eastern Conference with Ingram, Scotty, and AD when they're healthy. And the funny thing is all three of them have some injury history, put it that way. AD's is the most one that gets the most notice, then Ingram, and then Scotty. So you have that for a front court. In the East, there's a world in which you become the favorites in the Eastern Conference. You make that deal. Now, who goes back? Well, most of the reports have saying Poeltl and RJ. Those would be the two biggest components in the deal, but it's not an easy deal to make because of money. You look at the Raptors' individual contracts. We got players who make a lot of money, and we got players who make a little money. The ones who make little money basically are rookies. The ones who make a lot of money are some of the starters. The middle of the way contracts are like Poeltl and RJ, and that's it. Mainly if you want to call it Poeltl. So you have to send them something, obviously, for a guy like Anthony Davis, because Dallas is not going anywhere. They're just not. They're in the West, 10 games below 500. I love my guy Beyond, but I don't know if they're going anywhere beyond. I think it's time for them to move off AD and Kyrie, build around Flag, put a nucleus around Flag, go from there. So the deal with AD is not easy, and I've done it in the trade machine a little bit. It would be Poeltl, Ochai, and RJ for AD. You probably have to take the contract on of Dante Exum, who's out for the year, just to make it work. And then, even so, Dallas would have to waive someone because they'd have too many players on their team. They already got 15 players locked in. So that's when you probably have to send a Garrett Temple in the deal for them to waive him, and we still would have to take somebody back for us. So it's not the easiest deal to make. An easier deal to make if you're just with Anthony Davis because of contracts would be Quickly instead of RJ. Now, they're not going to do that, but it's one of those examples that you wish RJ was making that kind of money and Quickly was making RJ money. It would be a cleaner fit then. You'd be able to make something work. But this is not an easy deal to make. That's for sure. A Trae Young deal financially, you can work that out. Honestly, the easiest deal to make right now, and I don't think they're going to do it because I think they have something in the makings is LaMelo. LaMelo is not getting paid very much at all. He's getting paid under $40 million. You can easily make that work. But when it comes to these contracts, it's not easy. And AD is looking for an extension. Does he want to come to Toronto? He probably really doesn't. But Rich Paul's just saying the nice things. Saying, oh, yeah, he'll come to Toronto. Just give us our money. Want the extension. And if you're Bobby, that's quite a bold move to make to try to prove to Keith Pelly that you're up for the job. I would say then it's your team. You better make sure, too, that they hold on to CMB. Now, obviously, people know my own opinions of CMB from back at the draft. But if you make a deal and you're getting rid of Pirtle, you're bringing back Anthony Davis, you better make sure you hold on to CMB because it's hard to trust Anthony Davis to be healthy. You better hold on to Anthony or to CMB and Mamu. And I think they would. I don't think they would include those guys. So, do people want this? I get a comment section on YouTube. I love to hear what everybody thinks. People know I'm an RJ Barrett fan. I understand the talent that is Anthony Davis. I understand that defensively we would get a lot better. We're already top 3 right now. It's a tough one because RJ brings his heart out every single night. I know you got to give up something to get something, but and I guess maybe too it would make room to know more about Grady Dick and Jacoby Walter, because if that deal was to happen, you got to think of who's going to start next. Is it going to be Grady or Jacoby? If it's me and I get Anthony Davis and Scotty out there, I'm rolling with Grady. You got to give Grady a chance if that happens. Grady is the one guy in that lineup, if he ever got hot from 3, would be the biggest thing this team would need. Because you still have Quickly, still got Ingram. AD's about 30% from 3. You shoot him when he make a few. Scotty makes a few. You would technically have a little bit of everything in that lineup. And you would still have Jacoby. Grady in the last game against Atlanta, the shot mechanics look different. I don't know. I know it seems like they've messed around with it a little bit since he came into the league. But I was on my last show, I did mention Grady cannot survive in this league 30% 3-point shooter. It's not going to work. Grady's going to be 36% at least. The league average is like 36%. There's no reason why he can't be that. I think if Grady can get up to 38 to 40%, my goodness, what that does for this team moving forward. We know he's a great athlete. We know he can jump. We know he's got decent size. The defense looks better this year. You can rotate him and Jacoby in there. But if it was me, if that deal went down, I hope Darko would start Grady Dick. He'd probably start Jacoby. And I get that. That's fine. But I would give Grady a chance. You got to find out what you have from Grady. Because there are times that Grady's playing well and Darko don't go back to him. But if he's got Scotty and Anthony Davis to come by and clean up the mess, then you can keep Grady out there. And with CMB, same thing. So a lineup of Quickly, Grady, Ingram, Scotty, and Anthony Davis. Pretty good. Defense, yep. Offense, yep. Does Ingram, in theory, have more room to operate? Maybe, possibly. You got to figure out, Anthony Davis needs the basketball too. So he's going to have to. Somebody's getting less touches. Is he going to get RJ's touches? He would, but typically Anthony Davis needs more touches than RJ. So that front court, I'm saying this from a coaching perspective. I would love to coach that front court of Ingram, Scottie, and Anthony Davis. Good God, would I have fun strategizing all the defensive switches you'd be able to do. And while you have all of those three guys, the double teams that would probably come, and there's Emmanuel Quickly and Grady Dick lined up for three, or Jamison Battle, or Jacoby Walter, or Mamu. If I had my choice of either Trae Young or Anthony Davis, I'm rolling with AD. AD's 5 years older, I get that. But Anthony Davis plays both courts of the ball. Both sides of the ball, he plays it very well. And you just have to keep him healthy. Health is the biggest thing for this team. If they pulled off this deal, he came here and Al McKechnie kept them healthy, give them the key to the city, Doug Ford, or Olivia Chow. Because if they pulled off this deal, and I'm not really for it or against it per se, I get it, but you would make some noise in the East potentially if Anthony Davis is healthy, which is still an awful question mark. Because you got the scoring, you'd have the defense, you'd have some problems still with some of the bigs. If an Embiid is healthy, which is always a big if, that's still going to be a problem. And Cat, Mitchell Robinson, if Allen and Mobley ever get it together, they're a problem. Detroit with Duren. Physically, you're still going to have a few issues, but if there's other, you still would have enough, though, I think, to make a run in the East. Is it enough to take down some of the other teams in the West to get to the finals? Probably not. But your team becomes very interesting with an Anthony Davis on this team. That front court of Davis, Scottie, and BI is the best in the East if it happens. There's no debate. I can't think of another better front court. Cat, OG, and Hart? Nope. Mobley, Allen, Hunter? Nope. Banchero, Franz, even though he's hurt, and Wendell Carter? Nope. Khalil Ware, Bam, Wiggins? Nope. Duren, Tobias Harris, Ron Holland? Nope. Go through the list. They make that deal. You have the best front court in the NBA, bar none. Or sorry, in the East at least. One of the best in the NBA. Okay. Just wanted to come on, give my thoughts on this whole thing. I'm not really here, nor I'm not for it or against it per se. If it happens, it happens. But I'll say this: if it does happen, you have the best front court in the East. Period. Okay. Thank you, everyone. Please take care. Go Raptors.